The views expressed in the following program are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect the views of SAUGA960 AM or its management.
Live from Toronto to the world.
Josh!
This is Josh Holiday Live. Talk that rocks.
The public needs to be informed.
Josh might surprise us.
Got an opinion? Dial 647-6YO-JOSH.
When you hear him, you're like, what?
Josh Holiday Live starts now.
Hey, hello, Friday. It's Josh Holiday Live, 3 and a little. It is September 9th already. Damn it. Summer is fastly departing. Although we got a good week here. If you want to call the show, 647-6YO-JOSH. Hanging around with us today is Jacob Goldbach. Goldbach. I've been reminded to say it that way. Was there a gap there after the news, Jacob?
It's all good.
Okay.
A little bit, but we're good.
Because I was like scrambling around here, and then I'm like, oh, God, it's time. It's time to go. Welcome back. Now Jacob hosts a show on Mondays that's sports-based, but focused more, or I should say focused less on the majors, right?
I mean, we talk a little bit about it, especially with football season being back now. I think that's what we're going to really dive into in our show coming up next Monday. But
okay.
we try and give as much attention as we can to the sports that we broadcast here, like the Mississauga Steelheads and York United and teams like that.
And how is the Steelheads season shaping up?
Well, if there's one thing I learned about covering the OHL last year is that it's nearly impossible to predict, especially because coming out of the pandemic. No one knew how the players were going to shape up because essentially half of the league were rookies. But the Steelheads overall, it was a really successful year last year, and I think they're going to build on it, especially considering a lot of their better players are younger. So they will have gained more experience, and I think we'll have some big seasons this year.
Excellent. And the Leafs... it really feels underwhelming what they did in the off season. I'm still waiting for another shoe to drop. It feels like they need to do something. Although I guess they can delay it until they actually have to sign Sandin, or until they can come to some sort of agreement. I guess they can kind of keep things in limbo a bit. But yeah, I'm not superly optimistic. I think as built now, the team will again it's built for the regular season. But when playoffs come, if it's built like it is right this day, not big hopes on my end, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, right? They haven't really shown anything over the last few years to make you think otherwise that they will show up in the playoffs. But I mean, something will change. Obviously, they've got to get that contract done with Rasmus Sandin, and I don't know if I see Alex Kerfoot still being on the team by the time the regular season rolls around. So I think automatically we'll see a little bit of shifting in the top six, and they'll probably get something of significance in return for Kerfoot. So it's not going to be the same group of guys. I mean, it's mostly going to be the same, but there's going to be a little bit of tweaking done, I think, before the puck drop.
Yeah. At least in the fall, if they may go a little bit into the season, but yeah, he's been sort of in that position since basically a year or two ago. Kerfoot, is he gonna stay? Is he gonna go? And it may be finally time to get a cheaper option to be able to do similar things. So I did a show last...
Can you imagine being in that position, Josh? Just
no.
Like an entire year and a half, 2 years of the fan base just being like, hey, we want you gone. We want someone else here.
But it's not like some cases where players have been kind of hated out of town, like they're so disliked and people want them gone so badly that it's miserable for them. I think in this case, he's well liked by the team. He is well liked by the fans. There's no animosity. It's just a matter of his contract not being a great fit for the team at this time. But I feel badly that in his head, he's probably in limbo too. Like, where am I going to be living the rest of the year? My family, that type of thing. But if you're making $3.5 million a year, I guess that's part of the part of that is being uneasy about where you may be playing. I take that money if I didn't know where I was going to be living. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, I think he'll make it work.
Is that me making a beep? Yeah, I think it is.
I don't think it was me.
Okay, that's all right. It's my computer. I don't know why. I think it's my WhatsApp. Why is it making noise? Can I silence it? It doesn't matter. Okay. So last week I did a show, and as you probably know, I've really kind of just because it's kind of a pain in the ass, and it isn't sort of fun, but I've sort of strayed away from politics to a large degree. Although I still, as a person, I'm interested in it, and there's big things happening, and it's hard not to talk about them. So last week, off the top of the show, not very long, but I basically talked about how I thought Joe Biden's speech was great, calling out the MAGA extremists in the U.S., and I thought he did a good speech, and it was about time people called out the burgeoning fascism of the right wing in the United States, and how democracy is teetering. And that was that. And then later in that evening, I got an email that is just bat-s crazy, like insane. I guess, I should expect it being sandwiched between, conspiracy theory peeps. So I'll get some of that crossover audience, but this is like, I wish I had word count on my Gmail, but it's literally like scrolling down Gmail. I would say it's about a foot of like text. So it's got, if it's not cut and paste, this person needs to be institutionalized, because it is like this ranting. I'm just going to like quickly just gloss over some of the things. Blah, blah, blah. The title of the email is Demented Joe Biden's Hitlerian Speech. So, if it starts like that, it's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And I wish the person claims to be named Heidi. And Heidi, if you're listening, please call, because I'd love to chat with you about some of these things. I'd like to, I do have your side in this email, but if you want to have an actual discussion, give us a call here, 647-6-YO-JOSH. Or if you're of similar mind and you want to chat, you can call me up. That's cool too. Refers to Ashley Biden, sex problems and addiction, good speech, freedom, a lot of freedom. And you're on their side? Blah, blah, blah. Assassin went to Justice Kavanaugh's home. Roe versus Wade. Constitution. I side with the real fascists, the left and Biden. This obviously doesn't know what fascism means. If you look at the list of traits of fascism, it's a very right-wing thing. Oh, murdering newborns. Oh boy, it's so long. And of course, Hunter's laptop. Voting, like more people voted than there are people. Obama's Russian agent. It really, like, it's so long. Anyway, it ends with, the truth is I have no respect for people who hate real freedom and who want to be told what to do and say their whole lives. People who stand for nothing and fight for nothing. People like you. Your ignorance is off the charts. Maybe if I spoke your language, bah, 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 Trump 2024, save America. And it came from a Canadian Hotmail address. So I don't understand why this person is so Trumpy. But anyway, that's the type of stuff you get if you just talk a little bit about Joe Biden giving a much needed and a very appropriate speech. And now I read today that the Republicans they wrote to, I don't know if it was the Justice Department, but they sent a special letter saying they don't think it's appropriate that Joe Biden had Marines behind him when every president for the last, I don't know how many years have had military people behind them. George W. Bush, Trump had a ton of them. That was his thing. But, okay, so that's that. Did I lose you, Jacob? I think you don't have to.
No, I'm still here.
Yeah. So yeah, there's it's crazy the extremists out there. They did a study, and this is more about like this is maybe this lady, I don't know, but they did a study of extreme right wing websites, and people get obviously, like people like me and decent people get upset about these hateful right wing, sometimes white nationalist websites. And they did a study in Exeter, England, and they went to a number of sites with different ideologies: the far rights, the jihadists, the incels, the guys who think they deserve sex, kind of guys in their basement who can't get laid and they want to blame someone else. So they went to these sites and in all kinds of different languages, and they went over 12 million different posts across 8 far-right sites. And they found that it's really just a small amount of the people on the website that make most of the postings. So it's not like these sites are really, really heavily trafficked with conversations. There's a lot of people lurking, but for the most part, it's a very small group of very active posters that keep these things alive. He said, we found in all forums there was a small clique of extremely active posters who occupy central roles in discussions. Extremist forums are hierarchical echo chambers. So there's that. Speaking of extremists, have you seen the weather? I find it fascinating now. Like I was of the mind that people in red states or people on the right who are climate change denialists would slowly come around to the idea that, oh, wait a second, my town hasn't flooded in 100 years and now we're having these massive floods, or my town hasn't been on fire and now we're having massive fires. I thought that would maybe, having, not before it was sort of theoretical where they would hear people talk about or articles, but because it wasn't directly affecting them, they could deny it. They could say, well, I don't know, we get snow in winter, sun in summer, but all over the world, like flooding in Europe, fires not just in California but all over the U.S., incredibly dry areas, not getting a lot of rain, and flooding in places that just don't flood. And there's still people who want to push this idea that climate change is not happening. It's like ostriches burying their heads in the sand. I mean, if you're claiming that climate change is not happening, you're not the brightest. That's all I want to say. Yeah,
you kind of alluded to it, but you can even look here. I get it all the time from my parents. Whenever it snows in the winter and, in middle of January, I go out to shovel. I come back in and my dad's like, oh, that was nothing back in my day. I was shoveling triple this 3 times a day. No, the weather is a lot different than it was however many years ago. And I just don't understand how people can't understand that.
Yeah, and we've I think geographically we've been pretty lucky, all things considered. Like here in Toronto, certainly in the GTA, we haven't had any major disasters. We had that flooding, in the last 10 years, I guess we had that big Toronto flood. But elsewhere, like every time you turn on the news, somewhere else there's a flood or a disaster happening. Germany, England, all over the place. So I don't get, you got to be a major dum-dum or you're just so sort of I guess once you buy into something and you're into that conspiracy theory, it's kind of hard to admit to yourself or others that, okay, I was wrong. You're so bought in. Anyway, another thing that's a consequence of right-wing nutbags is the return of diseases that were pretty much not quite eradicated, but pretty much gone. in New York City, they have declared a state of emergency over polio to boost low vaccination rates. New York Governor Kathy Hochul on Friday today declared a state of emergency to boost polio vaccination rates amid more evidence the virus is spreading in communities. Polio virus has now been detected in sewage samples from 4 counties in the New York metropolitan area, as well as the city itself. A health official said everyone who is unvaccinated should receive their shots immediately. Some New Yorkers should also receive a single lifetime booster dose. I mean, it's just incredible to see. Obviously the coronavirus, all kinds of wannabe doctors and wannabe scientists and wingnuts came out of the woodwork and pushed an anti-vax thing. And it's the reason that we're getting so many variants so quickly is there's not enough people vaccinated, especially in the U.S. It's going around there like wildfire because people just won't get vaccinated, or not enough to at least make a difference and slow the thing down. And now I guess it's seeped into attitudes about other vaccines. So parents are like, well, I've heard all this anti-vax stuff. I guess the vaccines in general bad. They're not going to stab me. They're putting chips in me. And so it's led to the return of polio, which is interesting because it's a much more serious illness than COVID. And COVID's bad and can result in pretty severe consequences, not just short term but long term. But polio, it's not good at all. And I sometimes wonder what the line is. Like if there was a variant of the coronavirus that came along and it was more severe, caused more deaths, would people still be reluctant to get it if they knew that like 1 in 10 or 1 in 50 people were going to die? Would they still say, well, no, I'm not going to get it. I got my natural immunity. I caught COVID once. Now I'm immune. I'm a healthy male. I exercise. I go to the gym. I eat right. I'm not going to get sick from COVID. God dang it. I don't know why all the anti-vaxxer, I associate all the anti-vaxxers with a Southern accent, but maybe I'm a bit stereotyping. There's a new technology that's come out while we're on the topic of vaccines and COVID. Scientists have come up with a new app that can detect COVID-19 in your voice. It's a Dutch project. It says the AI-powered technology is easier to use and is more precise than a lateral flow test. You download the app to your phone. You record some respiratory sounds, including coughing, breathing deeply through the mouth, and reading a short sentence 3 times. A voice technique called Mel spectrogram analysis is used to identify different voice features like loudness, power, and variation. And it says it takes less than a minute to find positive cases and gives the correct result 89% of the time. Negative cases are correctly diagnosed 83% of the time. It says the new app could be used to detect cases of COVID before big gatherings such as concerts and sports events. It could also be used in poorer countries where PCR tests are pricier and harder to distribute. So I guess if you want to do any kind of bright siding about the whole pandemic, is it's really pushed not just the medical but the scientific community to really work on amazing new technologies. I mean, the vaccine was an incredible new technology and was a great step for humanity. And now you're seeing sort of around the edges people coming up with new and interesting things around it.
Well, yeah, I mean that's gnarly. That's ridiculous. The fact that they can come up with, and again, far from perfect, as you said, the numbers. It's 89% and 83% effective. So obviously, still room for error. But the fact that it could even, identify something as COVID just from the way you're talking, that's crazy. What I want to know is how it would be able to identify that versus the common cold or during allergy season.
Yeah, because I get allergies. I get stuffed up, and I'm like, is this cold?
Oh, I got mine right now. Let me tell you.
Do you take a daily pill?
I do, yeah, and it's still been. I've had it now. I've had like a cough now for like 2 weeks.
Yeah,
not fun.
Yeah, I take a daily allergy pill, and I still kind of get the sniffles, and especially if I come from indoors to outdoors, I'm always blowing my nose. It's a crazy. It is Josh Holiday Live. Jacob Goldbach is here hanging out, and you're welcome to hang out and join the chat as well. 647-6-YO-JOSH is the telephone number. That's 647-696-5674. You can call us about anything we've been talking about so far. And in a little while, we're going to ask you some questions. A plane passenger was called an a-hole by a mother after refusing to allow her and her family sit together because he had already paid for a priority seat. You want to call us up and say if the guy is right or the family is right. A woman is upset her husband had a private lap dance on a stag, a bachelor night, and some people say they would leave him while others argue, it's just tradition. What do you think? You can give us a call. And on the topic of planes, a guy was complaining because he had a 3-hour flight that was ruined by a crying girl kicking his chair the whole way, and says that she'd pay a lot more money to fly an adults-only cabin or airline. So those are some of the things that you want to call up and debate, and we will talk a little bit, give you our take on the Queen in just a sec.
Hi, this is Greco Rasco from Oakville Nissan, and if you have a car in your life, and by that I mean a car, an SUV, a sports car, a pickup truck, and you want to sell it, but you don't want the hassle of doing it privately, I have a solution for you. Bring it to me. I will make you an offer. And if I end up buying the vehicle from you, we will give you a $1,000 gas card. Come and see me. There's something happening here at OakvilleNissan.com.
Most people don't plan to fail. They fail to plan. Ask Jeff, the go-to guy. Help you plan for today and protect for tomorrow. As a 5-star award winner with Wealth Professional, Jeff has helped people just like you achieve their financial goals and support their future with his unique 360-degree process. With his team of professionals, he can help you and your finances work smarter, not harder, in protecting your hard-earned money. Whether it is life insurance, living benefits, group insurance, investments, or financial planning, Jeff is the go-to guy, and he is here to help plan for your future. All you got to do is go to askjeff.ca, the go-to guy. That's askgeoff.ca. That's askjeff.ca. And join Jeff every Monday on Monday Wealth on the Mark Petroni Show at 2:45 p.m. on SAUGA960 AM.
The roof over your head protects your home and everything in it. When it's time for repairs or replacement, choose right. Choose better. With over 40 years experience, Better Contracting Services is the GTA's roofing and gutter specialists. Residential or commercial, we do it all, from repairs to replacement. Better Contracting Services are the pros officially endorsed by Mike Holmes. See why when you choose better. Visit bettercontracting.ca for a roof done right. The other guys are good. We're better.
The day he stopped was the day we started. He never quit, and neither will we. Join us for the Terry Fox Run on September 18th in support of cancer research. Visit terryfox.org to register today.
No radio? No problem. Stream us live on SAUGA960AM.ca.
You all know that thing you use to send text. It works for actual mouth talking.
Josh stuff, more Josh stuff.
Get in on the conversation. Punch 647-6-YO-JOSH to be heard. Talk that rocks. Josh Holiday Live.
Yeah, Josh Holiday Live, Friday afternoon. If you're listening live. If you're not, you can still call the telephone number. 647-6-YO-JOSH, the telephone number. Yes, Jacob Goldbach is here as well. If you want to join the conversation live, you can call that number, but 24/7, 365. The phone lines are always open, and if you leave a message of love, of hate, of disagreement, agreement, or you just want to get something off your chest, you very well may hear your thoughts on a show in the future. So we welcome all discussions. So the Queen died, as if you've not been, you probably know that, unless you've been in some kind of hermetic seal until just before this show. I'm of mixed mind of the royals. I mean, I guess it's sort of, I like the fact that most of the Commonwealth countries are pretty decent places. But I never really got caught up in the whole royals thing. There are people who are obsessed with this stuff, and I don't really get it. It always seems to be a huge event. Weddings and funerals are the big royal events, and people go crazy for it. And obviously they're going crazy for the Queen as well. And there's the deeper discussion of does Canada need to be part of the monarchy, and I'm kind of indifferent to that. I'm like, and whatever, we're doing okay. If that happens, that happens. But I guess it goes to the deeper issue of royalty in general. Like is it still time we should have royalty? Like, it doesn't make sense in modern times, but we don't really have to deal with it so much. I think the Britons have to come to terms with it. And I in recent times, I think the thing that stuck out to me about the Queen that was actually pretty funny and pretty cool is obviously Donald Trump visited and met with the Queen, and there's this clip of him where they're walking along. There's a line of soldiers on either side of them, and instead of walking beside the Queen, Trump goes out and walks in front of her and kind of blocks her way from trying to catch up with her. And it's just shows you what a douchebag he is, and just what an uncouth kind of D-head. But there's one subtle thing that the Queen did for her whole visit when Trump was there. She wore a brooch, as queens do, that was given to her by Obama. So, and it was, I think it was, she has to be very diplomatic. Obviously, it's a position where you can't really be too political. But I thought it was a great subtle way of showing her distaste for the post Obama president. Yes. Jacob, are you a Queen fan?
Well, I'm a fan of the band Queen.
They will rock you.
We will, yes, indeed. No, look, you got to appreciate, fantastic life, very eventful life. She did a lot. I never understood. I'm with you. I never really understood the whole royal family, why people obsess over it that much. Like, to your point about the weddings. I remember whoever got married last a couple of years ago. It might have been Meghan Markle, and I don't know who she married to.
Yeah. One of the princes. That's how little I know. I know there's Meghan Markle is controversial, but it's always a big event.
Yeah, but my grandmother, she woke up at 4 or 5 in the morning to be able to watch it, and she asked my mom. She's like, "Oh, I assumed you watch," and my mom's like, "No." Like, who cares? Like, I never understood why people are that obsessive over it. Like, they're just, at the end of the day, they're just a family.
Yeah. It may be a generational thing too, where, like, I know my mom was sort of into it, and I guess maybe as they were growing up, there is more import put on the royals and what they mean to Canada. And there's another side that needs to be acknowledged too, in that in the earlier days of colonialism, the colonialists weren't especially, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, good for the indigenous people. And so there's some of that residual stuff happening as well. So anyway, that's, I don't need to talk too much about the royals because I don't really care too much about the Royals.
Have you seen the memes on Twitter, Josh? About there's all sorts of memes. I think it goes to show just, my generation kind of always able to poke fun at things. But there's all kinds of memes going all over the place about the Queen, and obviously, it's kind of a tough line, because you look at all these memes and you're like, well, she just died. It's kind of sad, but there's just my generation, I think, just trying to find the humor in everything.
Yeah, well, I think I've seen that in the last day or two as well, and there does seem to be a divide between people who are like, well, it's a big public thing, and it's not like it was a tragic end. She lived a incredibly long life, and so if it was like a tragic accident or something, and you're like Diana died or something, where it was like a life cut too short, I think making fun of that might be a little too soon. I think it has to be tasteful, and I don't know if it's like the actual day that she dies, you pile on with the humor, but in that case, I can kind of, being from a comedy community, I like the idea of pushing the limits, but I guess it's up to the person who's posting whether they think it's over the line or not, and the eye of the beholder. Couple of flying things. If you want to call us, you can. There's two stories. There's a woman who claims to have been on a 3-hour flight, and she had a wailing girl kicking her chair. And she says she'd pay, quote, so much money for a child-free cabin. Have you been stuck in a? I know when I get on the plane, even in the waiting area, like when you're all sitting waiting for your section to be called, I'm always kind of looking around to kind of scope out the baby situation, the young kid situation, and then as you're getting on the plane, you're also kind of like scoping it out. And a lot of times, sometimes I like to get the exit row because I'm a long-legged fella. And so I oftentimes get on the plane before people. And so there's that suspense of sitting there watching as people with babies come down the aisles and hoping, okay, keep going, go far back, go way back. Because I have been in situations where there's been kids kicking your chair, and you kind of look around hoping the parent will tell the kid not to, but it really does depend on the parent. And then I have been in the other situation, and it's equally as hard. I was with a friend traveling with her and her child, who is maybe 2, 1.5, 2, and he was insane, like crying like someone was pulling his toenails off. Like, it was an insane, hard to describe, just like the most agonizing scream you could handle. And I felt kind of embarrassed, like, oh my God, we're those people. And I felt super bad for the mother, because you try as hard as you can to figure out a way to stop this, but there's not a ton you can do. The kid is wailing, and you try and like distract them or give them a game to play. So I experienced it from the other side, and I now have more sympathy anyway for people with children. I'm like, okay, well, if it happens and they're behind me, it's not great, but I know what it's like to be in a situation where you have a child that's just won't stop wailing. I've heard sometimes parents of kids who know the kids are not great flyers, or maybe it's the first time flying. They will, before the flight, they'll put together little gift bags with maybe a nice chocolate or something, but also earplugs, and we'll sort of hand them out to people within a short distance of where their kid is, as sort of a goodwill thing. I think that's a good idea as well.
I think what's got to make it even harder now for kids is, when I was young, all I really did, I would bring my PlayStation Portable with me on my flights, my PSP or my Nintendo DS, and I'd be occupied forever. You know, I could play Pokemon for 6 hours and I'd be totally okay with it. But now it seems like more kids are getting phones a lot younger. So they're used to just being on their phones, but obviously when you're in the air, you don't have that luxury.
That's true too. And a lot of the times the issues, I think for younger kids, you know, your ears are more sensitive too. So when you're ascending and descending, you sometimes experience more pain as a small child, and those are the times where you have to put away the devices, unfortunately. Although I think now, they're obviously you can't connect to the internet. So I mean, if you get a game that's not based on internet connectivity or cell connectivity, you're okay with that, I think. But I don't think, in a realistic way, I don't think you could actually do an adults only flight. Like it's too much logistics, probably not enough demand, and would be too expensive. So,
but like, you know, on like the bigger flights, how there's kind of like multiple sections of the plane.
I suppose you could you could, and airlines are always looking for a way to gouge people. So they could maybe pick a section at the back or somewhere where you pay a premium not to be in a section with babies.
Because I could see it. I think the planes would need to be maybe a little bit bigger, and I don't know if that's a thing that's going to happen. I think planes are already plenty big, but if they're able to find a way to make it, you know, more spacious and have more kind of divided cabins, I could absolutely see it being a thing.
Yeah.
Because the problem is it's inevitable that if you're in Canada, if you live in Canada, but you have family in France, you're going to have to visit them at some point. And if you have a 3-4-year-old kid, you're going to want them to see your family. So I think it's always going to be a thing that young kids are going to have to fly. So if you can find a way to get that separation, I think it would sell.
Yeah. I guess the wonder is whether you offer a section that's only for parents and kids, or mostly for parents or kids, and then if you have to sell extra seats in there, you give them to cheap for people who can put up with it, or you charge extra and have an area just for no kids. I guess it's hard to say, but here's another thing that happens on planes, and I've had this happen before. I paid for an exit row seat on a plane. It wasn't like super expensive. I think like $50 or something at the time. And I get to my seat, and there's a lady there sitting in my actual seat, like an elderly East Asian lady. And I said, "Oh, I think you're in my seat." And then she's kind of feigns not knowing English, and she sort of points to the seat behind me. And I said, "Oh, no, you're actually in my seat." And then I think she pointed her hip, like something like she's sore. She needs the seat. I'm like, no, that's not how it works. I paid extra for this seat. And she's like, oh, pretending to be sore. And finally she moved to the seat behind me. And I think she ended up complaining to the flight crew enough that they moved her like further back somewhere in the plane where, I don't know, she had more leg room, but, she would have been kicked out of there anyway. Cause part of being seated in the exit row is you have to answer a bunch of questions. Are you physically able to help with whatever? And she was obviously claiming that she was injured, so she wouldn't be physically able to help people in the exit row. And then language-wise, she wasn't a great communicator. So that was my experience. But this guy flew in a plane, was called an a-hole by a mother for refusing to move and allow her family to sit together. He had a priority seat, so he had paid for a nicer seat. And this lady decides that, well, I want my family to sit together. Can you just move for us? And he refused. And now there's people on both sides. I'm totally on his side. If you pay for that seat, then you made that choice. And if the lady wanted to have seats close together, she probably could have paid and had that seat ahead of time. So What do you think? Give us a call, 647-60 Josh. And Jacob, yeah.
Well, yeah, I was going to say there's such an easy solution to that problem. You want to sit together as a family. The solution's right there. Just pay for it, right? Like I was going to say, when you were talking about your story, I was going to say I've had friends who have had that happen to them, where a family parents will ask them, "Hey, is it okay if you move so I can sit with my kids?" And it's just such an awkward spot, because on the one hand, like, you want to be the nice person and say, "Oh yeah, sure," but on the other hand, you paid to sit there. Like, that option's available to everyone. Mm-hmm. So I just don't understand why parents can get that upset when all it really takes for them to be able to sit all together is an extra $60, $80.
Yeah. Well, and then I guess the trickier one maybe is if you're on a window or something, and this person wants you to switch to a middle seat so they can be closer to someone, or if you're on the aisle, whatever the case may be. Maybe you haven't paid extra, but you got your seat early enough and got a seat that you chose. Maybe you didn't have to pay for the choice, and these people decide, well, I want my kid next to me or across the aisle from me. Can you please switch to the middle seat so that they can sit next to me?
And on a long flight, like, that's a big deal. Like, I was traveling in the summer, and I had a 16-hour flight. I had a 14-hour flight. They were brutal. I paid extra to be able to sit on the aisle, and I couldn't imagine sitting in the middle for that. So if someone had asked me, "Hey, you want to switch?" I would have said, "Absolutely not. I need the aisle seat. I need this space."
Yeah. I'm more of a window guy. I like to. I'm kind of a nerd. Like, I get fascinated by coming into a city or leaving a city, just sort of seeing it from a height and seeing all the different layouts, and if it's somewhere foreign, kind of seeing how the area is laid out, and also it's kind of a do not disturb area, because I'll time it either right when I get on the plane as people are kind of boarding. I'll try and get in the washroom and take a pee, and then sleep as long as I possibly can. If it's to the end of the flight, perfect. If not, I've done my job, because I don't like just sitting there in the seat. I get so kind of bored. So I try and sleep as much of it as I can away, and then maybe watch a movie or something. But yeah, I'm a window guy for sure. And yeah, I don't think I could change with someone either. I mean, I guess it's situational. If it's a shorter flight and it's a real issue, and maybe the people are super kind. But yeah, that's that. Okay. Neither of us are married, but there's a woman who got upset after her husband had a private lap dance as part of a bachelor party. Some people saying they would leave him, while others are saying it's just tradition. I fall under the category. I mean, I think it's kind of it's become a bit crass in terms of like it's not as common, I don't think, anymore for men to take bachelors to the strip club and get them a lap dance. I don't think it happens as much as it used to, but I still think that's what they want to do. That's what they want to do. It's not, if I would say if he was an active participant in this lap dance, maybe it's in the champagne room, in a private room, and he's participating more than observing. Maybe as a spouse, I would be not happy about that. And then I try and reverse the situation and think about it. And I think if I had a fiance, a lovely lady, and she and the gals went to a Remington's or some sort of male strip club, and she got a private lap dance. I honestly, I don't care. Like, I don't know if it's different between the sexes, because I know male strippers are sort of seen as more cheesy and more ridiculous than the ladies, for better or worse, or fair or unfair. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is just kind of ingrained into society, right? Like it's been a thing now for so long. You look at movies, you look at TV shows. That's kind of the stereotypical bachelor parties. You'll get a stripper to come over. I think, it's situationally based, I think, because I think a lot of times what will happen is you'll have a guy, he's getting married and his friends will put on a bachelor party for him. And, let's say you're with 10 of your best buddies and they're like, oh, we're going to the strip club. We're going to get lap dances. What are you going to say? No. And all of them want to do it.
Well, they all also want to like buy you a dance. And I think it would, especially if that's the plan and you go there, I think it'd be hard as the bachelor to say, yeah, guys, no, I'm just going to watch you guys have some fun.
Yeah, exactly. And like, I mean, I guess it really depends. I mean, yeah, personally, I don't think I would care too much, but I mean, I've also not been in that spot, right? None of my friends have gotten married yet. I obviously have not gotten married yet. So, I mean, maybe, a few years down the line, as more of my friends start to have bachelor parties, I'll think differently. But for right now, I can't imagine really caring about that. Yeah.
And I think especially if you're going to like a actual strip club, I think they're pretty strict about contact. So maybe if it's like a hired person who comes to a bachelor party, it might be a little bit more racy, raunchy. I don't know. We're going to take a quick break, and it's an interesting thing that's happened with boobs and boob jobs and the like, and we'll tell you what that is right after this.
Attention all hockey fans. The Paramount Fine Food Center is the place to watch OHL hockey, and Mississauga Steelhead season tickets for the 2022-2023 season are now on sale. Get tickets for all 34 home games and get so many benefits, like 20% off concessions, complimentary access to all Paramount events, team gear, discounts with local partners, and more. For more information, contact the Steelheads representative at info@mississaugasteelheads.com or call 905-502-7788 to get your season tickets today.
Imagine having over 100 TV multi-language channels at your fingertips. Imagine having over 100 multi-language radio stations at your fingertips. Now, imagine an app that lets you watch or listen to all of this amazing entertainment whenever or wherever you want. Now, imagine it's all free. Ibaba is the reality in mobile entertainment. Download Ibaba for iOS or Android. Turn imagination into reality at Ibaba.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. This is the voice inside your head. Or at least, it should be. I'm telling you to call me, Greg Carrasco, every Saturday morning, 289-275-9600 on the Greg Carrasco Show here on SAUGA960 AM. Tell me what's on your mind or what's not on your mind. Or if you just need to know what to wear this weekend, call me, 289-275-9600. But seriously, what else are you doing so early on a Saturday morning? There is always something happening here on Saturday on the Greg Carrasco Show here on SAUGA960 AM.
Wanna bet? You can do it at Sports Interaction Canada's sports book. Football is back. Baseball playoffs and the hockey season are around the corner. Bet pregame, live in play, or on one of our many prop bets. Made for Canadians by Canadians. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now and see all sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/raw. That's sportsinteraction.com/raw.
Ontario only. 19 plus. Please play responsibly.
Stream us live at SAUGA960am.ca.
Something bugging you? Need to vent?
Where the is Josh?
This is your unfiltered megaphone.
When you hear him, you're like, what?
Dial 647-6-YO-JOSH now to be heard. Talk that rocks. Josh Holiday, live.
Yes, on the home stretch here winding down. Jacob Goldbach is here on the Josh Holiday Live program. This is something interesting that's happened during the pandemic and post-pandemic. Breast implants and butt lifts may be a recession-proof business. This is according to a new survey by the American Society of Plastic Surgeons. Reveals 3 in 4 cosmetic surgeons are seeing booming business as people move past the pandemic. Survey found that nearly 30% of cosmetic surgeons say their business has actually doubled after COVID, with women between 31 and 45 the most likely patients to seek breast implants, liposuction, and tummy tucks. Why now? Well, it says for many, the COVID shutdown allowed people to work from home, giving them a chance to save up more money instead of dining out or spending on the daily commute. I find artificial boobies a kind of a turn off, and I may be the odd man out on that. And I'm sure women find me referring to breasts as boobies a turnoff for them, so it probably balances itself out. But the one thing that really I'm seeing more and more is these giant lips, like really overly bee stung look lips, and I whenever I see that, it's like, oh my god, no, like it's too much. They're overdoing it. I think a similar thing will often happen with breast implants is, rather than trying to, maybe you feel like it's not quite big enough there, they go extra big, and then it becomes kind of crazy and abnormal. And I think the same thing is happening with lips, where I understand you maybe want to puff them up a little bit and stuff, but now it looks like it looks like the Rolling Stones lips you see all the time.
I've always said that, Josh. Fake boobs and hockey cards, a lot in common, because hockey cards, another industry, that whole sports card memorabilia, that was absolutely booming during the pandemic. I actually worked briefly at a memorabilia store before I started at the station, and our business was crazy because everyone was just at home. They had nothing to spend money on, so they were just buying all this autographed stuff from different athletes.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing, I guess, that there's so many people have been saving up for so long that they now can splurge on all this stuff. And maybe that's why, like, if you look at economically, people seem to be spending, and businesses seem to be kind of in a way booming. So maybe that's a part of it. People had been frugal for a couple of years, and now they can just let loose. Did you see, what was was it a Mickey Mantle card that was like 11 million recently? Did you see that?
Sorry about that. I believe so. Yeah, it was a rookie card. So 19, what year is it? 52, I believe. And yeah, 12.6 million.
That is
crazy.
Absolutely insane. But I guess certainly there's a tier of wealth where that's just a drop in the bucket. Like if you're a billionaire, 12 million is like us spending 12 grand or maybe like 5 grand. It's just nothing. When you have that much money, you're never, ever, ever going to run out in your lifetime. So you can buy whatever the hell you want.
Well, yeah, because that transcends card collecting. Like at that point, it's just art. Like it's literally just people buying it because why not?
Yeah. Well, and better than an NFT. That is a scam. NFTs are scams. We can talk about that another time because we are out of time here. If you have something to say, you can give us a call, 647-6-YO-JOSH. That's the telephone number. You can call 24/7, 365. Leave a message and we'll air it on the show. If you want all the contact information, you go to joshholidaylive.com. Jacob Goldbach's show airs Mondays at 3.
Correct.
Talking sports, and this week it'll be talking about NFL, yeah?
NFL, baby, we're back.
All right. Thanks for hanging out, Jacob, and thanks for you listening, hanging out with us as well. Have a good weekend.
Turn on the lights, open the shades.
The show's over, but the conversation continues. On Twitter at Josh Holiday, on the web at joshholidaylive.com, and hear missed episodes on your favorite podcatcher. Talk that rocks. Josh Holiday Live.
As built now, the team will again have a also be used in poorer countries where PCR tests are pricier and hard.
Perfect, as you said, it's pretty. I've had
476. A woman is upset. Her husband guy was complaining because he had a 3-hour flight that was ruined by a crying girl kicking his chair the whole way. And says that she'd pay a lot more money to fly an adults-only cabin or airline. So those are some of the things you want to call up and debate. And we will talk a little bit, give you our take on the Queen in just a sec.
Hi, this is Greg Carrasco from Oakville Nissan, and if you have a car in your life, and by that I mean a car, an SUV, a sports car, a pickup truck, and you want to sell it, but you don't want the hassle of doing it privately, I have a solution for you. Bring it to me, I will make you an offer, and if I end up buying the vehicle from you, we will give you a $1,000 gas card. Come and see me. There's something happening here at Oakville.
In just a sec. Hi, this is Greg Carrasco.
phone, the thing you use to send text. I'll give you our take on the Queen in just a sec. On the Queen in just a sec.
All I really did, I would bring my PlayStation Portable with me on my flights, my PSP or my Nintendo DS, and I'd be occupied forever. You know, I could play Pokemon for 6 hours.
See what that is right after this. Something bugging you? With boobs and boob jobs and the like, and we'll tell you what that is.